Hello, Temi. Temi,
Hi, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can. Mary, right?
Yeah.
Please, Daja ladies, you guys should.
Hello.
Hello, please, what's going on?
Hello.
What's going on, please?
I don't know. I heard my name. Someone called me. But I guess the network is bad over there.
Oh, I knew it.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I want to sleep in.
No. I understand, Jerry. Hold on, sorry. Tomorrow is yours, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I hope we're not going to postpone other people's till tomorrow like this.
No, leave it, I don't think. Hello, Tolu. What's
Mary,
going on? Tell me that I'm not very
is like when Mr. Fino, we're waiting for Mr. Shino. So when they're done with their meeting, we'll have to try it again and see if it works. In fact, I have a lot of things.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Hi, hello everyone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes, we
Mary.
can. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. This is Mary. I'll be talking on the demography of unemployment rate in Nigeria.
Okay.
So these are the questions. Wait. Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Mary. So I'll be presenting on the demography of unemployment rate in Nigeria. So these are the questions I'm supposed to answer at the end of the presentation. So the first thing here is, how has unemployment affected the development of Nigerian economy? What are the impacts of unemployment on individuals? The third question is, sorry. The third question is, how do unemployment rates vary among countries? Then the fourth is there a gender gap in the number of men and women that are employed? Is the rate of unemployment increasing or decreasing over time? Then what is the difference between unemployment and underemployment? What is unemployment and underemployment? These are the questions I'm supposed to answer by the end of this presentation. So introduction. Unemployment is one of the developmental problems currently facing in the world, not just Nigeria. And there are arguments that the rise in population, like the growing in population, is the sole factor responsible for the continuous growth of unemployment. But according to the analysis here, the rise in the unemployment rate is not entirely equivalent to the increase of in job losses, rather than the increase in unemployment can occur as a result of several reasons, of which loss of an existing job is just one. The rise in unemployment generally means that the numbers of people searching for job increases, and the increase in labor force size can lead to the increase in unemployment rate. The labor force does not mean that people sorry the labor force does not change simply by job losses, but it means that the people that are unemployed, sorry the people that were already in the labor force market were not does not change as a result of them losing their jobs, rather than the expansion in the size of labor force. For example, like those people that are not ready to work before suddenly decide that they want to start working, e.g. students and housewives. Unemployment. There seems to be a consensus on the definition of unemployment. So according to Udu and Agui 2005, unemployment is a situation in which persons capable and willing to work are unable to find a suitable paid job. Underemployment. They are individuals who are working outside their areas of specialization due to lack of jobs and so on. Unemployment rate in Nigeria. Sorry. Okay. Unemployment rate in Nigeria. I used seven okay. I used 7 factors to measure the unemployment rate in Nigeria, like people that has first degree, female, second degree, male, diploma, post secondary school, and youths. So I need to check. Mm, can you see my screen now? Yes. Okay. 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 Unemployment rate in Nigeria. Based on the statistical data collected for MBS, it was discovered that the people with sorry, it was clear that unemployment by educational group was the highest. People with post-secondary school certificates recorded 29.8% during the third quarter of 2018. It increased from 5.3% in 2010. People with diploma, for example, NCE, OND and nursing recorded 33.8 during the third quarter of 2018, which increased from 24.4% in the same quarter of 2017. While persons with first degree recorded 25.2% during the third quarter of 2018, which increased from 28.1 in the same quarter of 2017. People with second degree recorded 19.8% during the third quarter of 2018, which increased from 16.5 in the same quarter of 2017. This category recorded the highest rate among other categories. Unemployment rate based on educational level from 2010 to 2018. It is recorded that people that has post-secondary school certificate has higher rates of unemployment rate in Nigeria. The causes of unemployment rate. There will be several researches on unemployment and its causes in developing countries, especially in Nigeria. So scholars have identified the following as the major cause of unemployment in Nigeria as well as other developing countries. One, the neglect of agricultural sector, rural-urban migration, corruption with its attendant grave embezzlement, low economic growth and activity, outdated school curriculum making Nigerian graduates unemployable, increase in the supply of uneducated manpower as a result of producing more graduates ap than available jobs. The effect of unemployment rate on Nigeria economy. The consequence of unemployment rate are very severe and threa ten to citizens and the economy as a whole. The unemployment episode has continued to pose many challenges. The survival of Nigerian nation. Some of these consequences border directly or indirectly to the unemployed youth. They include unproductive labour force. It contributes to low GDP, political instability and contribute to crime and violence. The impacts of unemployment on individuals. One, psychological effects, family support, effects on health, contributes to drug addiction. How how do unemployment vary among countries? Nigeria and indeed Africa is not the only developing country struggling with unemployment because it is a global social challenge. It has become a major problem for most countries across the world but a little more stable in developed countries rather than the continuous rising trend as experienced in most developing countries. For example, I compared 7 countries to Nigeria. I used 3 African countries and 3 non-African countries. The African countries are Algeria, Libya, South Africa. Then the other countries are China, India and US. So according to the record here, it shows that USA had decreased from 9.6% in 2010 to 3.9% in 2018. Also in China, the unemployment rate in China had decreased from 4.5% in 2010 to 4.4% in 2018. In India, the unemployment rate increased from 2.4% in 2010 to approximately 2.6% in 2018. So in South Africa, Algeria and Libya, the unemployment rate is high as 27%, 12% and 17.3% respectively in 2018. So Nigerian unemployment rate had increased from approximately 3.8% in 2010 to 6% in 2018. So calculating the unemployment rate, we can't determine the increase in unemployment rate by population because not all population are eligible to work. So I use the labour force population in determining the unemployment rate. So the labour force population was multiplied by the unemployment rate divided by 100. Sorry, divided by unemployment rate multiplied by 100. The labour force population of 7 selected countries are growing annually, though China being the most populous nation in the world is in their first billion and it is expected that its annual population additionally surpass those of India, US and Nigeria. From the information presented on the table above, the unemployment rate in Nigeria has increased from 3.8 in 2010 to 6.6% in 2018. Sorry, let me go to labor force. Um, the labor force population in Nigeria grew by one 119 million. Oh, see, this one will take time. I better skip it. So what I'm trying to say here is that the labor force population doesn't the increase in labor force population doesn't determine the increase in unemployment rates. So yeah, underemployment rate in Nigeria. With this graph, is showing that Nigeria has the it shows that the underemployment rate in Nigeria increases over years, and 2020 the third quarter of 2018 has the highest gender gap in the number of men and women that are unemployed. Unemployment okay. In 2010, 5.6% of women within the labour force were unemployed. This is 0.9 percent points higher than the unemployment rate for men, which is 4.7%. And during the third quarter of 2018, the unemployment rate of women within the labour force has increased from 5.6% to in 2010 to 26.6%. This is 6.3 percentage higher than the unemployment rate for men. So in conclusion, this narrative looked into the case of unemployment rate in Nigeria. It shows that the unemployment is increasing over time, but not just in Nigeria, but also in other African countries. And compared to the two selected developed countries with higher population than is China and USA. This was in a bid to find out whether unemployment is actually triggered by population growth or other factors. Finding from this paper shows that the labour force population increase is not the key factor influencing the growth of unemployment in Nigeria, but neglect of agricultural sector, rural-urban migration, corruption with its attendant grave embezzlement, among others. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mary. Comments, questions?
I have one question. There was a part there you were talking about the trend of unemployment when you were comparing to US.
Okay.
I want to know if that is from your own analysis or from the study online.
From my analysis, and it's the same with the analysis done by NBS.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is good. More questions, comments?
Okay,
Nothing.
one more question. Okay, so is it safe to say that unemployment rate is decreasing in developed countries compared to developing countries?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. So I have a comment.
Okay.
I think I'm only here to give comments. Not necessarily. So nice work, nice visualization. They look really nice. So from the visualization, I mean, you could get those analysis. So that's a great thing. So the issue I had with this was with this slide, in the sense that I think it's too worded.
Okay.
So the fact that it's too worded makes it's at times hard to follow, and it felt like you were reading out the slide.
Okay.
So if you had this is in a next time scenario. Your slides should contain points, and then when you see those points, of course you did this yourself, so it will be easy for you to remember what those points mean, and then you just explain in your own thing. So that way, it will help your audience to really get it. Sure, you
Okay.
get it,
Okay.
as opposed to reading out. I know these are your thoughts, so imagine if you had points on your slide and then you're saying this from your head. Most likely, you will just try to be attentive, listen to you, as opposed to reading alongside. You get that? Or apart from that, nice one.
Okay.
I'm trying.
Yes, I'm next.
Okay. Do you want to use your system or we use this one? Just use your
Yeah, that's
phone.
fine. Okay, have you opened it? I can always use any. Maybe I should stop sharing my screen.
The patient's dog is Is this it? Today is dancing.
Where's your screen? I showed you right. It's on Capstone.
Have you stopped sharing?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is Israel. So, title of my capstone project is The Health Status of Children in USA. Childhood is a period of fun and exploration for children, where they experience the right environment and good health. So child health focuses on the well-being of children from conception through adolescence. In the USA, the government actually spends a considerable amount on healthcare compared to some other developed countries. Then, according to a report in 2013, US spent about $8,713 per person, or 16.4% of its GDP, gross domestic their GDP on healthcare. So while I was trying to find out if American children are healthy or not, which is to check the health status of children, I got a data set. That's National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey data set. And the age range of children I actually made my research on is children less than 18 years, because it is according to WHO, children are from 0 to less than 18, so 0 to 17 years. So from 18 years, they are considered as adults. So nannies, in abbreviation for the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, uses a complex and multi-stage probability design to sample the civilian and non-institutional population residing in the 50 states and DC, that's Washington DC. Then sample selection for nannies followed 3 stages. These are the 3 stages. The first stage had to do with selection of primary sampling units, which are counties or small groups of contiguous country, nearby counties. Then the second stage looked at selection of segments within those counties. That's like a group of blocks or clusters containing a cluster of households. Then on the third level, they selected the households within those segments. Then on the fourth level, they selected individuals within each household. So in 2013-2014, 14,332 persons were selected for the study from 30 different survey locations. And of those selected, 10,175 completed the interview and 9,813 were examined. So, in order to select, there are several indicators of health status that can be studied. But in the context of this research, the indicators I used were their general health status, which has to do with their health status generally, physical, mental, and emotional health status. The second one is completion of immunization. And the particular one I looked at was hepatitis A and B. Then the third one is weight status of children. So factors influencing health status in children. According to previous research, factors that influence the health status of children include the family income, parental education, most especially the mother's education, the family structure, whether it's a divorced family or a family that maybe the father and mother are together. Then, fourthly, the maternal health, that's the mother's health. So, I had to ask some questions to find out if truly these children are healthy and what are the factors that actually affect their health status. So the first question I asked had to do with general health status of children. And my question was, what is the rate of health status of children in USA? That's the first question. And I looked at, from my graph here, as you can see, showing the general health status of children 0 to 17 years. And so for children 0 to 17 years, on the right, the graph on the right saying yes means that children that are truly between the ages of 0 to 17 years, while the one on the left are children above 17 years. So the one on the right is the one we are really interested in this result. So it's showing that majority of the children, that's close to 2,000 children, out of about 4,000 children 0 to 17 years that were examined, had excellent health status, followed by the blue bar, which is very good. So we have a lot of children, about close to 3,000 children out of 4,000 plus examined who had excellent and very good health status, general health status. Then, secondly, I looked at their weight status. So, children 0 to 17 years had about the right weight from this data set that was taken in 2013 to 2014. So, close to 2,500 had, out of the 4,000 plus children that were studied, had about the right weight, while very few, less than 500, had they were underweight and some were also overweight. But the majority of those children had about the right weight. Then I also looked at the immunization status of these children. The one on the left, the graph on the left, is looking at hepatitis A immunization. So according to WHO, a child between 0 to 5, or children generally to teenagers, they are supposed to take at least 2 doses. That's 2 doses, the complete dose for hepatitis A, and 3 doses is supposed to be for hepatitis B. So if you look at the left graph, you will see on the yes, on the first graph where it says yes. So you will see that majority of them actually completed their immunizations, their hepatitis A immunization, while very few had less than 2 doses, while some over 500 who had no dose. But what I could bring out from that was majority of those children completed their immunization, hepatitis A immunization. On the right also is the same thing, hepatitis B. Majority of them also had completed the 3 doses of their immunization. So my second question has to do with the race, which of the races had the most healthy children. So from so I forgot to mention that the results I have for all of this, for general health status, weight status, and hepatitis A and B immunization in US, was actually supported by previous researches. So there was a research done by CDC too that discovered that majority of those children they were normal weighted, and they also many of them also completed their immunization status. Then for weight status too, many of them too, according to that research, had many of them also had a normal weight, unlike overweight and all. But the thing is that from that study, they discovered that there's still the prevalence of about 18% children being overweight in US. So, but I'm looking at the majority of these children. Are they actually do they actually have the right weight or not? And majority of them have normal weight. So my second question is looking at which race has the most healthy children. So from my result, it's showing that non-Hispanic white, that means those people that are all as in full white with no Hispanic origin, had they had the most in excellent. Look at excellent is purple, so they are the ones that have the highest. And this is supported by a study too that was conducted in USA about the race that has the most, as in that has the highest, and it was concluded in that research that the whites actually have the most, they have the most children that are healthy. So it supports my then the third question that I had to ask is relationship between mother's educational level and children's health status. That is there a relationship between the mother's level? Are children from mothers that have higher educational status more healthy than children of mothers with lower educational status? So from previous researches, it has been shown that the higher the education of a mother, the better the health of their children. And so from a study that looked at those people that did not have high school education, those who had at least high school education, and those who have more than high school education, they discovered that those who have more than high school education had more healthy children, which is the same with my study here. So you can see that the highest here, these two are like the highest. And this is above high school. So this is some college or associate degrees, and this is college graduates and above. So those people that have high school education or equivalent, they were like the next highest, followed by 9th to 11th with no 9th to 11th grade, including 12th grade, followed by those people that had less than 9th grade. So the highest were those people that had some college degrees and college graduates. They had the highest of children that had excellent health status. So my next question had to look at how mother's educational level has an influence, or if there's a relationship between mother's educational level and immunization status of children. So from my graph here, it's showing that children from mothers that actually have some college and associate degrees, they have the highest, followed by high school. So when I looked at the both results, and I saw that they were not really as how I expected it to be compared to the health status of children. So I discovered that irrespective of their education, it's if you look at the second graph, almost all of them are on the same, those that have completed their dosage, almost all of them are on the same level. So I discovered that there's like no relationship. Then I came across a study that was reported by BBC, that mothers who educational level does not influence the completion of the immunization status of children, of their children. So that a mother is educated does not mean that her children will complete immunization status as compared to a mother who is not educated. Because they said that the more educated the woman is, the more knowledgeable she is, and she's able to question health authorities because of her own personal research that she has done. And they mentioned that there was even a particular country where mothers, where mothers, excuse me, where mothers protested the immunization. I think the immunization is MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella. So they protested against it, and they said that um, it has side effects on the children. But one thing I discovered is in Nigeria here, in developing countries, it is the opposite. So in developed countries, the more knowledgeable a mother is, the less likely it is that she will take her, as in she will complete the dosage. But in developing countries, the more educated the woman is, the more likely that she will complete her child's immunization. So that was what the research that was reported by BBC said. So finally, my question has to do with the last question has to do with relationship between the mother's family's monthly income and the general health status of children. So is there a relationship between these two, the family monthly income level and the children's health status? So looking at my graph, you will see a thin line. This line, which is excellent, these are children that have they have the most, and you can see that it's from families that are making $20 and above. So that means the more a family is able to make, the more likely their children will have excellent and very good health status. That was what and this is in keeping with other studies. So in conclusion, the health of children is the wealth of any nation, and USA is actually taking giant strides in investing in health as compared to other developed countries, and which is actually showing in the health of their children, as we can see. And the general health status, the family background, such as income, race, mother's educational status, is actually a factor in determining the health status of children. Thank you for listening. Is there any questions? These are my references. So you can always read through some of the articles that supported my
Questions, comments, observations.
It was actually a nice presentation.
Yes.
That's good. Why is it? Because nice presentation, but as we said the other time, that somehow, how would I put it? There's this kind of argumentative essay or something on the, something like, why is it that mothers that have the higher level of education, why is it that they are the one that their children do not complete their, yes, and then why is it that, because we believe that they are much more experienced, they're exposed, so they should know what to do. So compared to women that they just have maybe their A levels or just complete or college education, so that's why
is it like that? Okay, so from the research that I actually read that was arguing for this, one of the things that was mentioned was that there was a popular in US, in UK, that there was a popular like TV analyst or something that did a research or something and then raised it all over the news that a particular vaccine, that's the MMR vaccine I mentioned, causes there's a side effect to it that it affects children. So because of that, many people saw that and they believed in and they started protesting. But meanwhile, another research came out and said that that thing was actually wrong. That is not right that the vaccine actually causes side effects in children. So because of that, it influenced those mothers. They are more educated. So they have access to all of these social media opinions, TV hosts' opinions, and a lot of things, as compared to developing countries here. Developing countries here, we believe that when we are more educated, we know all of these things. This is the right thing to do. But over there, because of their environment, because of the, will I say, a lot of exposure, it was argued in that article that the less likely that this mother will take their children for complete immunization. So I think another thing I figured out from the argument was that it could be more or less like a cultural thing. You know, in Nigeria here, if the whites bring in something, we believe this is standard. Yes, we should adopt this thing. So at times we might not need to question. But over there, the more educated you are, the more you are able to research and you want to find out the root of everything, that are we sure that this thing is actually going to work. So that was what I just saw at the back of the argument. So it's an argument actually from the research I read. So I don't know if I was able to answer your question.
Thank you. Thanks, Lutrea. So for the last presentation, let's welcome Madam Titi.
I wish you online.
Yes. Hi everyone, this is Titi. My project topic is female share of employment in industries. How do I come about this topic? For what I've seen ahead from the research is that women we tend to have a lower place in the society. We are meant as in how will I put it? Women are being like pulled back when it's in comparison with men. We have this notion, even in this part of the world, that men are the head and they are meant to be, how will I put it? To be in all position. Thank you. So I searched into the tech industry. There was one day I went to Twitter. So I found out that women even in the tech industry, women are so few. Women are few, and that's why I ventured into this topic, that we need to take our place in the environment. Thank you. So introduction. Women experience discrimination in workplace, like I've said earlier, in African countries. Because for this project, I tried looking into the African countries because I'm an African lady. So I chose 7 different countries from Africa. And so from this question, we explain discrimination in workplaces, because no matter how educated you are, no matter how skillful you are, we believe that women, we don't have a say in the society. So we are being given a lower position, even in industries, in workplaces. Like I said earlier, a secretary job, an admin job. So you hardly see a woman in a managerial position. So we'll look at that in the course of the presentation. So we are offered lower level of position in the organization, like I said earlier. My first question, I said, what is the employment population ratio of women in industry? This is looking at I tried comparing with men, that our population ratio, when it comes to employment rates, when I compared with men, that what is our level of, so female employment compared to men. So from my graph here, the figures, they are in thousands. So as we can see here, that the one on the left is for the female, and the one on the right is for the male. So these are the 7 countries I looked into. And as we can see here, for year 2013, for the female is higher. And then for the men also. So we can see that it's as if is of almost of the same range. Then for 2016, that is Nigeria, the one in brown color. Then for 2016, it came down for female, and for 2016 for male, it's higher. Then looking at the other countries here, for Senegal, we can see for Senegal, for Liberia, and from this graph, we can deduce it that women position here is very low compared to men. So the number 2 question is saying that what is the percentage increase in managerial position? Like I said earlier, what is the status of female in managerial position compared to men? So from this place, from the graph here, we can see that the one on the left is for female, the one on the right is for male. So I looked into status in employment, that is the employees and the employers. Women being employees and also being an employer. Then men also being employees and men being employers. So from this graph, I don't need to talk much. As we can see that even men, they are for the male, they are leading, as in they are leading too high compared to female in the society. So then for the number 3 question, says what is the level of female employment by occupation in industries? So for the occupation, I looked at, we have the skillful, we have the high, the average, the low, but I decided to go for the high. That is how skillful, the level of skillfulness. And as we can see, when we are talking about skillfulness, as in our capacity, what we are capable of, to the level of perfection, and we all know that we women, we are very, very skillful. That women are very, very skillful. So from here, we can see that this graph, in fact, it really broke my heart, because female here, we are very, very skillful compared to men. From the graph, in fact, I went online that this can't be true, but I found out that it was very true, that we are very, very skillful, more than this male. As we can see, even the difference is just too much. The difference is too much. So the one I got data, as much data from, is from Nigeria. So as we know now, we Nigerian women now, we are very strong. So from the graph, we are much more skillful than men. Said consider your occupation, that is the skillful level of females in industry. This study shows that African women are more skillful than men, using Nigeria here as a case study. So in the year 2013, women have higher level of occupation, which in turn shows the level of skillfulness in women in industry, in which the value is, the value is in thousands. So, and that's 10,495,000. The men in year 2013, the value is very, very low. That's 6 million plus. So my question 4 is, what is the rate of female employment by education? So I decided to look at, we have the advanced, we have the middle, we have the low too. So I went for the advanced education. And when we are talking about the advanced education, we are talking about to the PhD level, from BSc, Masters, PhD, and the likes. So from my research and from what I've been working on, I found that female, we have low level of advanced education compared to men. So I made some research that why is it that women, we don't go to school? Is it that we don't go to school or what? But I found out that there's this kind of low girl child education. So there are still some part of the world that they don't believe that women should go to school, women should have this higher level of education, everything should end up in the kitchen. So from the graph here, we can see for male, Nigeria is trending, having the higher percentage. Then from here, we have, that's for the male. So we have Burkina Faso, we have Togo and Sierra Leone. But for the women, we have Nigeria too, but others too, they're just coming up, as in it's very, very low. Even Nigeria. So in the above graph, it shows from my study that women level of education in Africa is very poor, and that is very disheartening. So research has proved that African women tends to have low educational level compared to men. In conclusion, this study proved that African women face discrimination at workplace in the society, and men tends to be leading in all areas, which brings about huge gender gap. So I went for the solutions. What are the solutions? Poverty eradication. I think when poverty is being eradicated in our society, when women are much more empowered, even as a teenage or a young girl growing up, if they have their place in society where there is where poverty is eradicated generally, and that lies in the hands of our government. So, investing in women's economic empowerment. When women are being empowered, so they will have this strength, they will have this value of believing in themselves, that I can do this. Then encouraging and investing in girl child education. No girl should be neglected. It said, train a girl. That means you have trained a whole nation. So we women, we should, our children, our girl child, we should encourage them to go to school. So we are educated. We should educate our children. Women should women should raise their heads high and take their rightful places in the society. That is by going to school. It's not too late to engage in how will I put it? Older people education. So we should take our rightful places in the society, especially we that we are in the tech world. We should take our places. We shouldn't feel intimidated. Thanks for listening.
Standing ovation. Sorry. Comments, questions.
I was bloody.
Hello, good evening.
Lou has an observation.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Please don't forget.
Something I observed that really in the graph, the other ones, they are so low. It's not so low, it's not there.
Yes, during my
problem.
yes.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Over and over. In fact, the person that is my witness is my client. I tried checking over and over again. There are some the data sets. There was a time I even put 0 or something, and Sean has to correct me that I shouldn't do that, and Shade too. So there was no data set. Some they have, but it's very low compared to. I think with what I worked on, those ones that I could get much more distinct from is Nigeria. Even there was even a part that Nigeria, there was no data set at all in Nigeria.
Miladi has a comment.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Is she on the call? She can.
Yes, I'm on the call. I'm talking.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, yeah. Titi, thank you so much. I really enjoyed your presentation. Thanks to everyone that has presented. Danny, Mary, Motirayo. Thank you. Yeah, Titi, I want to say something that I love your presentation, and I really love the fact that you really didn't talk about the problems alone. You went further to talk more about the solution, and which was a very huge one. Like, I really appreciate that. Well done, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Miladi. More comments.
Omolara,
observations.
your comments.
So,
Lara, your comment.
Not online.
Yeah, it was quite understandable.
Okay. Thank you.
Francisca Kanye. Francisca.
Ah, I don't have any comment, but all those that presented today, well done.
Thank you very much.
Why people laughing now?
Thank you very much. We appreciate your presentation. It was very educational and a motivation to everybody that listened to this presentation. Thank you for it. And okay, so tomorrow, prepare yourself for 1 hour for the presentation. Thank you very much. God bless you. We should read
okay,
the
I have a question. I have a question.
Okay.
All right. Yes, I'm sorry, but I want to ask, can we pre-record this presentation because of net? I'm just thinking ahead.
The link we are using is authentic.
Yes, ma'am.
Being recorded.
What is it?
It's being
It's being
recorded.
recorded. The call
No,
is
no, no,
being recorded.
like, can I pre-record it and like then show it to the house?
Oh, as opposed to presenting live.
Yeah, so when I'm supposed to present live, I'll just play what I had recorded.
Okay, so then we'll now we ask you questions afterwards, or
Yeah, yeah.
so you'd still be online.
I'll still be online. Okay, I'll do both. I'll try to record uh,
Okay,
ahead of and if I'm able to present live, I'll do that
okay,
as well.
all right.
All
I
right,
think
thank you
that's
so much. Hey, that's Amy's voice. Wow.
yeah, that's my voice.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Well done to everybody who presented.
Thank
Like great stuff. Yeah. All right. So just feedback like like tomorrow if we need to like improve on the internet before the presentation or anything that needs to be done should be like set up. If there's any blocker, you can just like let me know and we'll try to resolve that so that we don't have a lot of back and forth like we had today.
But which link are we using? Is it the same link we are using or the previous one?
Cool. I don't know, but then before then it will be communicated. It will have to be another link because once I end this one, it ends. So it would be another link. So I'll also share like the link to the video on YouTube that you guys can like go back to if you need to revisit the conversation, and then it can also be shared with Jamie. All right, people. Is
All right, thank you,
it safe to end
Folashade.
the broadcast now?
Hi, Folashade. I miss you. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.